Hello, all you lovely people, and welcome to another video of mine. I'm really excited to make this video because one, I'm recording a video after a long time on my channel. I had been out of action because I had a lot of work. So I could not make any gameplay videos or gaming videos. But hey, I'm back. I'm gonna try um, every week to put up at least one video for all you lovely folks. And the second reason why I am really excited to make this video is because it's about Spider-Man 2. And me and my kiddo, we've been waiting for this game for a very long time. It's finally released on the PlayStation 5. I'm really glad that it has now come out. And we've played numerous hours of this game, but I'm only going to showcase the first 30 minutes because I do not want to give away too many spoilers. I'm going to talk about my initial impressions, my experience with the game for the first few hours that I've been at it. And before I start this game, just a few things that I want to talk about. Oh, by the way, this is a quick recap of what has happened in the previous two games, which is Spider-Man 1 and even the Miles Morales game. So even if you haven't played any of those games prior to this, it kind of allows you to come into this game without missing out on a lot. It gives you like this quick recap of what has already happened. So even players who are new to Spider-Man 2, I won't exactly say you're going to feel right at home, but at least you will have some context when you come into this game. And for those who have already played the previous two titles, it really feels like coming back home. And I'm going to talk about a few more changes and what's changed in this game compared to the other two games. So, with that said, before I start off, I also want to give you a little bit of information. I was recording this with the HDR turned on my PlayStation 5, due to which, when I transferred it over to my PC to kind of edit this video, I had to color grade it. So, these are not the original colors of the game. The colors might look slightly different, in some cases very different, because this gameplay video has been color graded by me. I don't know if I've done a really great job, but hey, I tried to do as much as I could with what I had. So I edited this on my LumaFusion, and now that the recap is done, you're gonna get straight into the game. Now, speaking about the game, it comes over this beautiful title screen, and it jumps right into a cutscene after this. So here you have Spider-Man 2. It starts off with Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn. You also have the lizard, Dr. Connors, back in the background. So here you have the symbiote, and it's all about changing the story of Venom, because in the comics, or in the, you could say, even the movie or cartoons that we are familiar with, Venom has never been Harry Osborn. It's always been Brock, uh, or forgot the other guy. Let me know in the comment section. But it's always been Eddie Brock, even the movies, I believe. But here they've changed the origin story of Venom, and they have changed the character who takes on the symbiote suit. In this case, Harry Osborn. And I think this felt really n- natural to me. I mean, kind of natural. I don't know why none of the comics had this, or maybe it did. I don't know about any of those comics, but I think it's a really fresh take on Venom, and it adds that extra depth when it comes to the story of this particular game. Speaking of stories, fantastic. Now, although I'm just showing you the gameplay of the first 30 minutes, I have played this for at least 6 to 7 hours now, and that's quite a long time. So I'm really a long way into the game, and I have experienced the story quite a lot by now in the 6 to 7 hours that I have played this game. I haven't completed it, so this is definitely not a review because I have not been able to complete the story mode of this game. But having played this for 6 to 7 hours, what I really like about the story here is that origin story of the villain as well, of Venom. And I'm not going to give you the details of it. All I'm going to say is that in most of these superhero movies, in fact, the ones which have been a hit, if you look at the trend um, of why they have been successful, then there's always been a success formula, in my personal opinion. Now, let me give you some example. Iron Man, for instance, the villain in the movie, was his exact opposite. Superman, for instance. The villain in Superman movie, The Man of Steel, was Zod. Again, the exact opposite. Even if you take a movie which is not as big as Superman or Iron Man, if you take a movie like Ant-Man, for instance, Yellow Jacket, very similar powers. Black Panther, very similar powers. The exact opposites, you could say. So the fight has always been between good and evil, and there's always been the struggle between the balance. I mean, it raises that question, why is the villain doing what he or she is doing? Because, like they say, the villain is often the hero of his own story. And he tries to justify, or she tries to justify what he or she is doing is right. So here, that you could say that struggle is there, that balance is there between why the villain is doing what he is doing. Now, Craven in the first few hours that I've played is just an outright baddie in this case. There's not really a lot of depth that I have noticed in this character. Now, there's a movie coming out from Marvel and Sony, I believe, next year, which expands on that whole cinematic universe of Venom and the Spider-Man movie universe as well. And hopefully that will add some depth to Craven the Hunter. But so far, in the 6 to 7 hours that I have experienced, first of all, there's not a lot that I've seen of Craven himself. His Goonies, yes, but not a lot of Craven. But in the few minutes that he's been on screen, there does not seem to be a lot of depth in the character. Now I already know, what happens moving forward, but again, I think that they could have explored a little more of his backstory in the game as well if they could. But I understand why they were not able to do it, because, hey, here we're dealing with not just one Spidey, we're dealing with two Spider-Man. And in fact, you have a plethora of villains. In fact, a lot of villains that you will come across. And even this opening sequence that you're going to witness right now is phenomenal. In fact, one of the best opening sequences that I have personally seen in any video game so far. I was really at the edge of my seat. Both me and my kiddo, we were having a blast. I mean, that's how good this opening sequence is. And when you see this, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So the gameplay mechanics hasn't changed a lot. I mean, if you've played the previous two games, both Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales, then it's the same kind of swinging, it's the same kind of jumping, and then you move forward a little bit as well. But apart from that, they have added a few more things so that you can travel a little faster than what you could, because there's a lot more ground to cover in this game. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? The size of the whole map is probably double or a little more than that, I would say. So there's a lot of ground to cover as both these Spider-Men. And to do that, what they've done is they've given you a pair of wings, which you can use to glide. And there are these fast travel tunnels. So if you go past these tunnels, you're going to be able to glide really fast. And apart from that, you can even slingshot your way into the city. So that way you're able to cover a lot of ground. And I think they've done a great job introducing these mechanics to the gameplay, because otherwise, swinging, as much as it is fun, I mean, I admit it's really, really fun to swing around the city, but sometimes it can feel a little monotonous and you want to cover a lot of ground. Now, there are options of fast traveling as well, but I think if you want to take in the sights, and if you want to take a look at the city, people, what's happening around, if you want to cover all these small little, tiny little side missions where you can get more hero points, or where you can improve your skills, etc., then I think these two introductions, the slingshot and even the pair of wings, they are fantastic introductions to the game, and they just enhance your overall gameplay. So very smartly done. Now, as far as the graphical fidelity goes, or what you see on screen, a lot of people might think that there hasn't been a huge change, and I admit there hasn't been a huge change, but the small or the incremental changes that you will see is not exactly groundbreaking, but it makes the overall experience a little more cinematic, in my personal opinion. And in fact, when I color graded this looked more cinematic to me. I don't know what you feel about this color grading. Do let me know in the comment section as to what you feel about it. So what do I mean by incremental changes? Now, first of all, the lighting is completely different. I feel that they have done a major overhaul of the lighting system, because the way light bounces off objects and of people in this particular game, even the shadows, etc., how it's cast, is very different to the previous two games. And I think that alone makes the game look more vibrant, more rich, and it adds a shade of realism. It takes it up a notch, I would say, when it comes to the lighting of this game. Now, apart from that, there have been textural changes as well. Obviously, with time, technology improves, and you can do a lot more with the textures as well. So textures are fantastic. The aliasing, I don't know what they have done, but there are no aliasing issues at all. I mean, there are no jaggies that you'd be able to see on any of the textures, objects, or people, or even hair, because hair is very tricky when it comes to aliasing. So when you take a look at Mary Jane, um, you you would know exactly what I'm talking about when you take a look at the hair and the way it bounces around and it flows with MJ. They've done a phenomenal job when it comes to the aliasing. So I think that tech is really good. And um, if it ain't broke, you don't need to fix it, right? I mean, that's what I would say when it comes to the fighting dynamics. It's the same. I mean, there hasn't been much of a change. But what I did feel in the first few hours is the 6 to 7 hours, there were not a lot of stealth gameplays. Like in the previous two games, especially in Spider Man 1, I believe, there were some missions where you had to use a lot of stealth. Otherwise, if you get into the game or into that mission without using stealth mechanics, sometimes you could be overwhelmed by the number of enemies that come at you. But here, it's more action heavy. It's more on the do stuff and keep moving side of things instead of, stay quiet, keep a low profile. No, this game wants you to be out there. This game wants you to swing around. This game wants you to throw those punches. In fact, there are a lot more special moves this time around. I think they've done a great job with that. And as you move around the skill tree, you'll be able to expand on your skills and take it up a notch. You can increase your health, you can increase your damage levels, you can increase your, you could say, your traversal. So all those things can be upgraded, and there are a lot of suits as well, which give you that fresh factor. I mean, you can keep changing your suit all the time. And this initial sequence, man, this sequence is bonkers. I mean, it's so good that you're gonna be mashing all those buttons. And what it also does is, even though, I mean, especially for newcomers, even if you haven't played the first two games, the way this opening sequence works and the user driven, you could say, touch controls here, it really gives you that tutorial as well as to what to press, when to press, like L1 R1 together, what happens when you press L1 and circle, or L1 and square, or triangle. So all those things are at play here. So not only is this a great sequence, like a great opening sequence, but I think it's also a tutorial because it's so good and so smartly done, is what I would say. Absolutely bonkers. It'll tell you to dodge at the right time and all that stuff. So the gameplay mechanics are spot on, and what was already great has been taken to a next level. So great becomes greater. I won't say greatest because there's always room for improvement, but yes, great has definitely become greater here. Now, as far as the modes go, I started playing this game on the on the performance mode, not the fidelity. So I started tinkering around with the performance mode with smooth, you could say, frame rate. Now, what does that mean? There are four modes that you have. Technically four, I would say. So you've got the fidelity and you've got the performance mode. That's a given. Because earlier it used to be so simple, right? Fidelity means 30 FPS, performance means 60 FPS. So that's what anybody would think. But now, because a lot of these televisions are coming out with 120 hertz, so it allows you to tap into more frame rate. So game developers are taking advantage of higher frame rate televisions as well. And that's how now they're able to come out even with in between mode. Like it's neither 30 nor 60, but maybe 45, 40 FPS, like what they did with the Ratchet and Clank as well. And I think that makes a huge difference because I personally think it's the sweet spot in between that performance and the fidelity mode. So it's like the balanced mode that you have on PC games. And here you have four modes. So you have the fidelity, you have the performance, but then you have a fidelity with smooth option, and a fidelity with an uncapped option, taking advantage of that variable refresh rate and the 120 FPS. And what that allows you to do is sacrifice very little on your resolution. So if you're playing on fidelity with smooth, you will get the best graphical fidelity. If you're playing on fidelity with uncapped frame rates, in some places it will adjust the resolution and it may lower the resolution down as well. So you won't get the best graphical fidelity. You will get a very balanced approach, but you will get higher frame rates. And then finally, you have performance mode with that smooth option, where you will get a flat 60 FPS, and it's a flat 60 FPS with no frame drops at all. At all. And then you have the performance mode with the uncapped. So it might take the frame rates up a notch, and you might even be able to tap into higher frame rates than the 60 FPS if you've really got a 120 FPS monitor or a television. So these are the four main options. And for ones who have variable refresh rate and 120 FPS television or a monitor, you're gonna have a blast. I personally found myself playing on the fidelity with the variable refresh rate turned on and the 120 FPS turned on. So I was trying to take advantage of that, and I believe this, to me, was my favorite mode to play this game on, because this is a very cinematic game. There are a lot of these cutscenes, and to be able to truly enjoy those cutscenes in high fidelity, I think the best mode for me personally was the fidelity mode. Now, some people may just like the extra performance, so hey, the good thing is that you can go in for it. There are four options that you have, and I think they are really well spread out. Now, speaking of options, what you also have is an option to switch between these two characters. So now that's an interesting dynamic, because you didn't have this in the previous game. So now, even when it comes to the mission or the side mission or the main mission, you can actually switch between these characters. You can switch between Miles and Peter on the go, and you don't have to really restart the game or do any of that tricky or shady business. Now you can just press one button and you're already playing as Peter Parker if you were playing as Miles Morales. And I think that is really, really fun to be able to change and to be able to take a look at this Spidey world through different eyes. So you have Pete's eyes as well, and you also have Miles' perspective on things. So that's really interesting. And what it also does, it doubles down on all those side characters. So from Miles, you could say, side of things, you have his love interest. You have his mom, who is supposedly now started dating someone else, and she wants him to meet this new person. And from Pete's side, he's lost his job. He started out as a teacher and he's lost that job. Now he's about to lose this job in this cutscene. Oops, probably I gave out one spoiler. But hey, if you have known Spider-Man, you know that he's never really been good at holding a job together. So here it's the same thing. And then you have MJ. And then you have Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn. You have Dr. Octavius, and all those classic villains coming from the original Spider-Man universe. So the beauty is that having both these characters just allows you to experience the whole universe that both these main characters bring. And I believe that's like getting two games for the price of one, in my personal opinion, because you do have a lot of side missions involving or focusing mainly on these characters. So there are some missions where you will have to play as Miles, and some missions where you will have to play as Peter Parker. So I believe that, so far I've really had a blast with this game, and I think this sequence is a testimony of how far video games have really come, especially Spider-Man games. I remember Spider-Man and the Web of Shadows, I believe, when I played it. And now when I play this game, video games overall have progressed so much And I think even from the storytelling aspect, they, in my personal opinion, do a much better job at telling a story than watching a TV series or even a cinematic universe, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it does a better job because for a Marvel Cinematic Universe to be enjoyed thoroughly, you will have to wait a few years because the same story comes out, at least the conclusion of a story arc comes out in multiple movies. So you have to um, wait for a few years before you really enjoy the conclusion of a story arc, like the Avengers Endgame, as an example. You had to see multiple movies to get there, and you had to wait many years. But here, you can play hours and hours and experience the story in one shot. So I wouldn't exactly call it like you're binge watching on Netflix, but the concept is similar. You are so much into this world and you're constantly enjoying this world and you want to see the end of the story. And the power is in your hands, in your controller. So you can literally decide how soon or how long are you going to take to conclude the story. It could be maybe 20 hours, it could be 40 hours. So that power is in your hands. And I think that is why video games are, in my personal opinion, superior to movies, cartoons, or even comics, because even comics, although they are way cheaper in terms of price, way cheaper in terms of even making them, but you still got to wait for the next edition. So the story may take, say, about 5 or 6 editions, in some cases, even 12, because that story arc was spread across 12 comics. But hey, that's the power of video games, and that's the power of storytelling through video games, that now all this can be achieved. And as far as the cinematics go, man, what can I say? I mean, the proof is right here. I mean, in front of you. I mean, the gameplay video that you're seeing right now, it's absolutely phenomenal what they can do with the story now with video games. And it starts off on a very promising note. And trust me, the pacing just keeps building up from here. I did not experience a single dull moment in the non-stop 6 hours that I played. I sat down in one shot, played for 6 hours without any breaks. That's how good this game is. So if you're seeing these, I mean, these first few minutes, 30 minutes approximately, then I can say that I have played this for 6 hours non-stop. And I just had to take a break because, there were some guests over. Otherwise, I probably would have played this for like 10 hours in one go, even. So that's how good this game is. And it's tough to keep the controller back down. But hey, you have to do what you have to do. You have friends coming over, you have your work. So sometimes, you just can't play. I mean, a person like me, I have work to do as well. I am not a gaming YouTuber. So I have to go back to doing my work as well. And that kind of keeps me away from this game. But hey, let me tell you that when you do get a chance to play this game, you're going to find it very difficult to keep that controller back down. In fact, you might want to get yourself a couple of controllers, because PlayStation controllers, if the battery goes down, you have another controller to play with. Now, coming to the characters, every single character I think is brilliantly written. They have been fantastic in terms of presenting these characters. The voice acting is stellar. The character animations fantastic, as you can see. I mean, every single second and every single pixel that you see on screen, the level of detail that has gone in, the background score, even the music that plays in the background, the ringtone, every single thing shows you the amount of work that the Insomniac team has put into this game. And it is stellar. I mean, kudos to them for making such a product, such a polished product. But is it perfect? Definitely not. In my playthrough, I experienced a very weird bug. Yes, I did experience a bug. And it was so funny that when it happened on screen, my kid was like laughing endlessly. What was that bug? Well, I turned into a cube, a spear, not a spear, sorry, a cube. Yeah, I mean that, a cube. So Spider-Man was just a cube for a few minutes on screen. I'm gonna show you. Maybe I can just put a shot on my channel and I can show you exactly what it feels like to play as a cube while you're Spider-Man and swinging around the city. Even when I'm talking about it, it's kind of funny, but hey, yeah. So that was one big bug that I experienced, and it happened when I was trying to switch between costumes. So there was one particular costume. When I got into that, I turned into that cube, a block, a square, and that's all that I was on screen. So that was a big bug. Now, apart from that, in terms of the frame rates, nothing. I don't think a single frame loss was experienced in my entire playthrough in the 6 hours. This game is solid when it comes to the performance. Now, before I finally end this video, I also want to apologize if there is any background noise. That my background is really noisy because festivities are around this part of the country right now, and we have what we call Durga Pujas here. So there are a lot of loudspeakers, a lot of background music playing, and even with my mic, which is a compressor mic, it's tough to keep these voices or these noises out. So if you do experience some background noise, I apologize for that. Hopefully in my next video or in my next few videos, this will not be an issue. But the music is so loud that I just can't take it away. Okay, now coming back, Craven, a good antagonist, but again, in the first few hours, I feel like the depth, the character depth is not there. And that is also because he may not be the main villain of the game. I did not want to give away spoilers, but I use the word main. All right, so I'll just leave that open. A lot of videos are already out there on YouTube, so a lot of spoiler videos are there. But if you don't like spoilers, then just ignore what I just said. If you do like spoilers, then it's very likely that you've already seen those videos and you already know who the main big baddie of this game is. Now, with that said, let me know what your thoughts are about this game. Now, personally, I really enjoyed it. My kid also enjoyed it. I mean, we took chances. We did a few missions together. I mean, in our playthrough, there were some missions that he was playing this with, some missions I was playing, and we both really had a very, very good time with this game. So, Spider-Man 2, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. Fantastic game, in my personal opinion. And at this stage, it'd be foolish for me to say that I would highly recommend it because, hey, it's one of those games that you simply cannot ignore. I mean, this is one of those standout games that you have to experience on PlayStation 5. I mean, this game is really that good. So, with that said, I think it's a wrap for this one. I'll see you lovely folks in my next video. Do let me know in the comment section, what you would like to see. Now, I also completed Assassin's Creed Mirage on my PC. I was not able to put out any videos. I have recorded a lot of gameplay, but I've not been able to comment on it. I've not been able to make these kind of videos. But let me know if you just want to see gameplay videos that I've done on my PC. Now, this obviously is a PlayStation exclusive. So I've played this on my PlayStation 5. And hey, if you want any other game that you want me to look at, except for Souls-like games, because I don't personally enjoy them, let me know in the comment section. If you request a lot of Souls-type games as well, then based on your requests, I am even happy to play that. But for this one, I'll call it quits here. That's it for this one. I'll see you lovely folks in my next video. Before I go, if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit that like and subscribe button and also that bell icon in case you want to be notified with all my latest videos. Now, apart from that, also share this video with your loved ones because it helps with the YouTube algorithm and you will support my channel and help it grow as well. Now, with that said, it's a wrap for this one. I'll see you lovely folks in my next video. Until that time, I'll say take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.